Oh, what happened, everybody? Nothing happened. Completely, literally, nothing happened. That straight never happened. Alright, so we're over here, everybody. That's crazy. Be careful with thumbnails, everybody. Be careful with those thumbnails, yo. That's crazy. That's hilarious. Alright, anyways, everybody. Let's continue looking for games. I gotta be, like, careful. Low-key. I don't know, moving on. We're on top. Top sellers, here we go. There's magic, that's cool. You know, I have Guild Wars. I'm pretty sure I have this purchase. Look. Pretty sure I already own this game, right? It says not on library. I wonder what I bought it on. I own Guild Wars 2, like, I own, like, the expansion. I own, like, this $50. Pretty sure I got the expansions. Never really played it too much. Just trying to see if it was connected to my Steam. Alright, well. Oh. Look, I gotta watch certain games here, like, you see the tags? I gotta, like, get it so it doesn't get those tags. Is there a way? Hide ignored items? What's this? I don't know what that there's a... Is that gonna make that go away? Nah, they're still there. Apex Legends, everybody. That's crazy. Well, that sucks, yo. Like, the only thing I felt like doing, shut off. I had to download and install something. I don't feel like downloading and installing anything, honestly. Yeah, everybody. Let's look at Blue Protocol videos. Let me look that game up. So I feel like doing. had to get rid of a buggy. I'm here.
in your game than letting a Chinese studio, in specific Tencent here, ruin it with a cheap mobile port. But you know what? That is what Bandai Namco have decided to do. And I had a lot of faith in Bandai Namco when they first...
Well, I heard about that. I just didn't look into that. 15%. Let's see. Can I find this? This is from software owned by Tencent. Both, yeah, Sony and Tencent both purchased significant shares in From Software. So, like, if you want to say Tencent is gonna be bad, just like no matter what, I mean that's a lot of games, man.
Enjoyed a lot of Bandai Namco's games, all the Tales of games.
Excitement with Blue Protocol. There are two reasons why people lost excitement with Blue Protocol. Number one, the Japanese version of the game has been released and it's been met with negative reception by the Japanese audience. That's a fact. Number two, the announcement that they are going to censor a number of things in the game, in the Western version of the game, in order to make it in line with, you know, Western American Puritan values. So those are the reasons why people are not excited about Blue Protocol. It's got nothing to do with Bandai Namco or Amazon. It's got nothing to do with Amazon at all. Like, Amazon's not telling them how to make the game in Japan. That's not it.
This is not an over-exaggeration, and even more so, this is disregarding everything Amazon has been accused of doing and has been proven to be doing. Yeah.
This is the thing, like, everything negative about Blue Protocol right now has to do with the Japanese game that Amazon has literally no interaction with at all. Amazon is publishing the game in America. They've got nothing to do with the problems of the Japanese game.
They're doing this all on their own.
China and South America, mobile gaming is a lot bigger because in China, there's a lot of time that people spend on like public transportation, and they do mobile gaming on public transportation. And that's one big reason. Another reason why obviously South America has that is that they don't have as much money in general, and so they're able to afford a smartphone but not a gaming PC. India is also the same issue to an extent. I just don't really know as much about that. So I think that it's reasonable that they want to make the game mobile. Like Genshin Impact is a mobile game. I don't think that a game being a mobile game means that it's a bad game. Like, for example, Diablo 4 wasn't a mobile game, but it played like one, right? You still have the same fucking battle passes. Like, you still have the store getting opened all the time. Like, what are we really talking about here? Every year, phones get better, right? The computing power of phones gets stronger and better. And there is a point where phones will be able to run really great games, like Blue Protocol, like Genshin Impact. They can now. So, like, I don't think that a game being on mobile is a justification for it to be bad.
Games company has assembled a developer team for the project and a whole... So,
like, I don't...
English titles...
Japanese only release.
A tough final against fiercely competitive...
So, of course they're going to want to do this. Like, everybody is trying to make a game that's playable on mobile. And there are plenty of games, by the way, that are playable on mobile, and they're not garbage. But the difference is that they were developed for PC first. I think that you can make examples like Fortnite, Minecraft, and Among Us. Like, all of these games are playable and functional on mobile, but they were developed for PC first. Which, to be fair, Blue Protocol was also developed for PC first as well.
Well, that wasn't very revealing, but the most important thing to take away from this is that Bandai Namco is not going to be in charge of Blue Protocol Mobile. Rather, Tencent is. Blue Protocol is going to be developed and published by a Chinese studio that is notorious for heavy pay to win, that is known to produce fairly low quality mobile games, and the 2020
状態になって、カウント発動だったんですけども、この仕様を変更しまして、縦戦ってるのが、ボスクラスというちょっと重い敵なのでちょっと分かりにくいんですけれども、高リアクション高威力ですね。
It looks alright. I can't say it looks incredible, can't say it looks bad, it looks alright. Looks alright. Oh, well, would like to see more. The mage class look kind of standstill cast spelly. I don't know about that mage class. I think I might put a ranger. They had teleports. They were blinking. Just I don't know. It seemed like they were standing still. And
Blue Protocol is an upcoming anime online action RPG recently released in Japan and with a scheduled global launch in 2024. While the game is not being labeled as an MMO by its developer, it feels as much of an MMO as most new titles we've seen in the past 10 years. After 3 years of following this game, I finally got a chance to jump onto the JP servers and have over 100 hours of playtime since the launch. I have a lot of thoughts on this game, so if you're waiting for global release and would like to learn more about what the game has to offer to new players, you're in the right place. I do have some concerns after finally getting my hands on the game, but do think the foundation of this game is very solid, the gameplay loop can be addicting, and I'm impressed enough to be covering this game full-time on my channel. If you guys have any other questions on the game, or if you just like to chat, follow me on Twitch, where I'm streaming Blue Protocol regularly up until the global release. Link is in the description. With that out of the way, let's get into the video. Blue Protocol at its core is an anime MMORPG which employs a full action combat system and one of the best the genre has to offer. Characters have a basic attack and basic skill, 4 tactical skills, 2 battle imagines or summons, and an ultimate skill. Tactical skills and battle imagines can be swapped out, but at this time each class only has a single ultimate skill available. As you're leveling, you'll gain new tactical skills and skill upgrades with a total of 12 tactical skills to choose from. You also have 4 passive skill slots, allowing for further customization of your build. Your character gear consists of a weapon modification slots called plugs, and enhance imagines which are similar to gear or artifacts and provide your character with passive stats. At endgame, you'll be focusing on min-maxing these items to have the best RNG rolls, but while leveling up, this isn't much of a concern. Skills can have long cooldowns, so unlike other MMOs where you're primarily spamming abilities, you will be relying on your basic attacks quite a bit in Blue Protocol. Basic attacks feel impactful, so while this isn't necessarily typical of the genre, it doesn't feel like a turnoff. The game also heavily encourages dodging enemies and avoiding attacks, as enemies in this game hit hard, especially when higher level. While you typically won't be one-shot, depending on your class and the enemy you're fighting, typically 3 or 4 hits from an enemy will drain all of your HP. You also won't be one-shotting these enemies, so each enemy feels like a solid fight. Looking at available classes, the game has a total of 5 at launch: the Blade Warden, Twin Striker, Keen Strider, Spellweaver, and Foebreaker, with class archetypes generally conforming to the holy trinity of DPS, tank, and support or healer. I personally chose to level up with the Spellweaver, as this is the highest DPS class in the game, and figured this would be the quickest way to level. Blue Protocol incentivizes you leveling up alternative classes, allowing you to utilize shared passive abilities, and switching classes is as simple as swapping out weapons. Any of these classes will perform just fine for leveling, so I suggest picking the class that appeals to you the most and not worrying too much about meta. While a party consisting of the primary class archetypes will perform the best, all of the content is doable by any class at the moment, and any class can solo any content in the game. One complaint that I do have is that ranged classes are generally much more friendly for open world farming. When there are a large number of players in a given area hunting mobs, melee classes will constantly be running to enemies to get kill credits, and enemies may die before you can even get to them. The game has systems to make this less punishing, but we'll get into this when discussing endgame activities. The game utilizes instance zones with loading screens between, which may be a deal breaker for some, but these instance zones are loaded into by traversing the map and not through a lobby-based system. Personally, I don't find this system to be a turnoff coming from games like Lost Ark, especially with how well the devs have eliminated the need for separate servers by controlling the number of players loaded into each zone. This also ensures that you'll never go very long
I'm
without
not a
running
fan
into
of
other
instance
players.
zones.
Each of the major
I'm not
map
gonna lie.
areas included at launch have their own
That's why
feel,
I
with
like
some
really
unique
like Black
enemies,
Desert. It's
vegetation,
super open
landscape,
world.
and surroundings. There's definitely room for improvements in enemy variety, and you will be seeing the same boars and goblins
It's still
from
decent,
level 1
though.
to
It looks
50.
pr-
I hope
looks
the
like
devs
the
address
zones are
this as they
big.
introduce new regions and zones into the game. In the next couple sections of this video, we'll discuss further what leveling is like in Blue Protocol, as well as current endgame activities. At launch, Blue Protocol has a level cap of 50. If you're playing efficiently, you should be able to reach max level on one class in around 40 hours of gameplay. The game appears to be geared towards a more casual audience, emphasizing social features and without an overly steep vertical progression at launch. 40 hours is still quite an investment, but having a level cap easily achievable by more casual players is, in my opinion, a good choice by the devs. The game has systems to keep you playing beyond this, but we'll get into these more later. The devs will without a doubt increase the level cap as more updates are rolled out, so I'm interested to see how long this progression will take as the game grows. That said, a month into the game and after the first major patch, the level cap has remained at 50. This is pretty refreshing for me, coming from games like Lost Ark, where the vertical progression is nearly endless, and a casual player will never be able to catch up to those with more free time. When you're progressing your first character, there are a number of activities you'll be working on at the same time, which are mostly centered around questing, running dungeons, and completing adventure boards. These activities will provide you with items needed to level up your class, increase your adventure rank, gear your character, and unlock various in-game systems. On top of this, you'll be able to enjoy the pretty fantastic main story of Blue Protocol along the way. Because you can play different classes on the same character, there are two main progression paths that you'll take on, with your class level being one and your adventure rank being the other. Class level has to be grinded over on any subclasses you create, but adventure rank only needs to be leveled once. Story content is gated at several points by your adventure rank, so you will be forced to progress your rank as you're going through the main story for the first time. You'll often find yourself under-leveled or at a lower adventure rank while going through the main story, either being locked out of content or the content outscaling your level enough to be too challenging. At these times, it isn't necessarily clear what you should be focusing on and what is the logical next step of progression. I actually think this was smart game design by the devs. It breaks up the sometimes monotonous, linear approach many games take and gives you some freedom to explore and do content you find the most interesting. You'll gain class levels through questing, running dungeons, killing mobs, and certain adventure board objectives, and you'll gain adventure rank through completing each of the 8 adventure rank boards. Adventure boards are an important progression system for crafting enhanced imagines, weapons, and increasing adventure rank. Completing weapon and imagine boards will typically reward all of the materials for crafting a certain item, so you're incentivized to complete these boards. Completing adventure rank up boards will unlock a rank up exam, which is similar to a solo dungeon encounter, and these are very challenging or even impossible if you're under level. Adventure board tasks are for the most part things you'll naturally be doing in the game to progress, and include things like running a specific dungeon, killing a certain number of mobs in the assigned zone, gathering a number of certain type of ore in a zone, or clearing a specific game mode for the first time. You can only have a certain number of boards active at a time, so if you really want to be efficient, you'll need to prioritize the tasks you're completing in a given zone. Personally, I found this a bit overwhelming while not understanding Japanese, but with a little planning should be more than doable. If you delay a specific board, you may find yourself going to zones you've already explored to complete some of the same activities again. Completion of each individual task gives rewards like materials, potions, Luna, and experience points, and completion of the entire board will grant another item. For most boards, only certain tasks need to be done to get content, although almost every aspect of the game can be done solo. Leveling. These modes include dungeons, which drop crafting materials, tower, which drops one-time items like gacha tickets and cosmetics, and the rush battle, which drops materials for applying plugs to weapons and currency for purchasing cosmetics. There's also a 20-player raid, which occurs at regular intervals and grants currency for purchasing cosmetic items. Overall, I found the leveling process in Blue Protocol very satisfying, at least on your main character. While most activities are a form of vertical progression, the number of paths you end up taking makes leveling feel much more horizontal and much more enjoyable in my opinion. So
Really do be like one of the only MMOs right now.
August was a bit of a disappointing month for MMOs. We had more hero systems, original features. And if I'm being honest, if they designed this or another, they were very...
Some of you out there maybe do potential for this one. There could be
It's been a long time. It's been a while. But we're going to be trying a new game today. A new old game. Not too bad. And then,
The enraged king had Crocs.
okay. Damn. Yeah, actually, this ability does suck, huh?
Hey guys, Hitman89 here, I hope you're doing great, and today I'm gonna show you the best MMORPGs that are still worth playing in 2020. Crafting is fun for an MMO, and on console, there's a proximity chat feature that, as the name suggests, by the way, like I said, it's free. No, but for having played game items, it gets a hell of a on PC though, yeah, cause on console, it looks like shit. Also, I felt like the UI was horrible and confusing for no reason at all. I played Black Desert Online on Series X via Game Pass, and I had fun. Keep in mind there's a 14-day free trial, so you can play the game for yourself and see if you like it. Anyway, the next game on my list RPGs out there. On PC though, yeah, cause on console, it looks that Black Desert Online is one of the best looking MMORPGs. Vacation, didn't get any pussy that summer, or the following one for that matter, and never leave it, you can do that too. By 9.99% of the time, I guess I'm boring. Whatever, dude. Keep in mind, PvP is probably the best thing about this game. I mean, then you'll most likely find it PC. A lot of people are excited for this one, and I can see why. It's fast-paced, dynamic, looks pretty damn good, and whether you're into melee or range combat, Wayfinder's got you covered. In early access on August 15th on PS4, PS5, and PC. A lot of people are excited for this one, and I can see why. It's fast-paced, dynamic, looks pretty damn good, and whether you're into melee or range combat, Wayfinder's
What's up with that Wayfinder? Did it ever come out? What was up with that? Oh, it's $19. Got mixed reviews. It's early access.
got you covered.
Following Gacha will also be a photo corner.
Sometimes MMO players like this is a third-person action combat generic 3D anime graphics MMO filled with more shoeless underage girls than Dan Schneider's Nickelodeon shows. A game in which you play as a Gaijin. Wait, no, hold on. A Raijin, otherwise known as a filthy outsider who somehow got magically transported into another world in a totally unique and definitely not generic isekai anime story. Oh, what's that? You don't know what an isekai is? Well, don't worry, I've had to binge watch a few Chinese cartoons myself ever since every other Western form of entertainment media keeps trying to shove its bullshit political take down my throat. So now I'm an expert on the topic. Google search and watch Boku no Pico, and you'll have all the answers you're looking for. In the meantime, we're here in the world of Regnus, as in Reckonus dick gonna fit down your throat. And we're here to pick herb, kill boar, and pick rock that you thought was herb, all in pursuit of one day recovering the memories of your past war crimes. Everyone in this game is either a racist, a time traveler, underage, or an underage time-traveling racist. Everyone is also a gambling addict, but we'll get to that later. Oh yeah, and there's also something about cleansing the world of the dark ones, because according to this game, if your skin is below a certain tone on the color spectrum, that's a bad thing.
What are you doing there? Sir, I'm not black.
But I'm pretty sure that last part's not too important. At its core, this game's story is all about learning that when you fuck with time travel, sometimes time travel fucks you back. But Rose, I hear the bleating of an innocent little lamb who still thinks that the Pirate Bay is a fan page for the exploits of Blackbeard. This game hasn't been released in the West yet. It's only currently available inside the borders of that one island nation that keeps putting used underwear in vending machines. And yes, I know that, but Bandai Namco doesn't, because as far far as they're concerned, I am glorious Nippon citizen folded 1,000 times by societal pressure, just like everyone else playing that one game that isn't Honkai Star Rail. And I accomplished this all through the simple click of this one button. Before we go any further, I want to make this clear. I went through three other VPNs, all of which ended up in my accounts being banned, except for this one, which for some reason slipped under the wire. On top of that, despite my man on the inside's best efforts to get some kind of sponsorship going, no deal was struck. And I had to pay for this shit with my own hard-earned money. Wait, no, that's not right. With these guys' hard-earned money that they give me for some reason. And as you can see, lads, I'm using your money wisely. Why wouldn't they sponsor me, you ask? You'd think it would have something to do with the words coming out my mouth. But no, it's because, and I abbreviate, you're not shitting out 25 videos a day, and therefore can summarily fuck off. I even tried to get one of those little codes that at least gets you a discount, but that didn't happen either. What this also means, though, is that I am free to call Andrew Lee's mother, tell her that he is a very mean man and that he won't give me any of his money even though I like their product. This would be the part of the video where I'm supposed to tell you to click some special link in the description, but I have nothing to sell you. So instead, if you look in the description, you'll find a guide on how to set this all up yourself so you too can ruin the Blue Protocol experience before it releases in the West sometime in the next decade. Don't tell your mom or your local FBI agent about this, but this will probably work for other region lock games that are coming out in the future. Now let's get something straight. I am not, nor have I ever been, a Genshin Impact player, so my ability to review this game is solely reliant on other similar MMORPG experiences I have and several boomerisms, dating all the way back to when gaming was good. So if you came here expecting someone who was going to tell you that the age of consent is too high, well then you're shit out of luck. This game relies on several never-before-seen gameplay mechanics which it uses to obscure the vision of any international oversight committee that are unfairly trying to prevent children from getting addicted to gambling. Everything in this game is a smaller game of chance, where getting what you want means buying more tickets to the arcade, and getting what you need to progress means having to play the game at a far slower pace than people with credit cards who are actually supposed to have access to this game right now. And when I say everything, I do mean everything, except weirdly enough the Pokemon badges that stand in for gear that you would otherwise equip in any other MMO. Why would the Japanese have committed such an atrocity? Well, that way visible gear can be fully cosmetic and need to be obtained through grinding adventure boards, buying a battle pass every 2 months, or rolling the dice, praying to Orange Jesus, and spending money on the gacha system. Ooh, look how sparkly it all is when she yanks my crank until something comes out. And are there superior pay-to-win abilities and or mounts locked away in both the gambling systems and the cash shop? Yes, but it's like they say, never ask a woman her weight, a man his salary, or the Japanese what happened at Nanking. But what you can ask me about is the gameplay and story, so let's talk about that instead. This game does something very Japanese by forcing you to work and play the combat tutorial before you're even born. You don't even know what your character looks like, so instead you play as a ghost so white that a loaf of bread would be considered spicy to them. What this tells me is that this game is looking to integrate you particularly into the story of a world about invading immigrants before anything else, and that cutscenes in this game are directly relevant to the character you choose to play. Now, lesser beings out there will go right ahead and compare this game to Dark Souls without first checking to see if the thought they've been impregnated with has fetal alcohol syndrome or not. In reality, this game is closer to a mix between New World with its action combat system, Albion Online with its instanced world shenanigans, and Devil May Cry 3 with its one-track story that's meant to make you feel special on the inside. And yes, I am aware that I could have pulled out a Final Fantasy reference here, but I choose not to, in hopes of upsetting you. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. This tutorial ends with a Mexican antagonist penetrating our white boy chest like it's an undefended border, sending us off to the character creator screen. Now, when picking our character that's to be transported from another world into this one, we're bound to the same logic and laws as any of those other Vietnamese animated drawings out there that people keep blasting rope over, which means picking either someone who got the Paul Walker treatment but from the outside of the vehicle, or that one service where someone from Texas installs new ventilation holes in our body for free with their Problem Begone stick. And since this game is going to be a monumental fucking task for me since everything is in Japanese, I'll have to continually switch between installing unofficial English patches and using Mort since I haven't quite figured out how kanji works yet. So why not not honor the legacy of another man who took on the impossible task of trying to get men to tolerate and have sex with 3D women instead of 2D ones, and their corresponding figurines, only to be rewarded for his efforts by taking a high school science project to the spine. What I'm trying to say is the character creator in Blue Protocol is nothing special. It's mostly a bunch of preset options and some color pickers, where you can choose to play as generic Japanese man above the age of consent, generic anime protagonist child who doesn't know what consent is, jerk-off material, or not jerk-off material unless you're planning to spend time in prison. None of what you see here can be considered new or innovative, but the female character models have acceptable levels of personality and the objectively correct amount of jiggle physics applied to them. So all of this I can consider forgivable, if not possible. Oh, by the way, expect that and a few other features to be removed from the Western version of the game, but if you think for a second that the core gameplay itself will be so different when compared to the version currently playable amongst the rice fields, then I don't have a bridge to sell you. I have several bridges to sell you, and they're all NFTs. But after I'm done recreating Japanese Please Have Sex Man in his final moments on Earth, we enter the game only to be violently attacked once more by a cutscene that makes about as much sense as my character class choice. One could say this is some real cock and ball torture. They didn't even remove the cock and balls. My god, it looks like that one PC building company logo. By the way, there's only 5 classes to choose from, at least for now, and they're all tied to your weapon choice. A sword and shield for tanking damage, combo axes in case you prefer fighting games over MMOs, a bow and arrow for damage and healing through the ancient art of embedding pointy objects into everyone else except yourself, a stick for pretending you're doing something, and another bigger stick related to the most important
Pretending you're doing
MMORPG
something. Yeah,
class
the mage
every game
class,
needs,
it just looks like you're just
balls.
standing
But don't
there.
worry, if you messed up and accidentally didn't pick balls during the character creation, you can always transition into something better by swapping your weapon later in game. Your class is tied to whatever wacky shit you've got in your hands today, and not how bad of a person you are on the inside. Anyway, back to the cutscene. What is very obviously a fully grown woman cuts in front of us in the line at Costco. Officer, please, this is a victimless crime. She told me she was a 20 million-year-old demon. How was I supposed to know any better? We get a second combat tutorial, and oh, I get it now. I was looking at this weapon backwards. It's not a dick and balls at all. It's an oversized crack pipe. In the second tutorial, we learn how awesome we used to be as a white person and how much we now suck by comparison, because all we can focus on is left-clicking to hit things and pressing ARPG buttons to activate our one ability. I mean, imagine being nerfed so hard that all of a sudden you need a HUD in your life, just so you can figure out when you've sufficiently inverted the enemy's organs. And just when you think it's over,
This is definitely one of those unhinged
congratulations,
videos,
you
yeah.
are now a slave.
Very unhinged.
How did this happen? You mistook a legally binding document for an autograph. This is the point in time when your story truly begins, or ends, depending on your tolerance for grind. It's also where I'm gonna stop talking about the story before I upset all the weebs by giving them spoilers. So let's switch our focus to the gameplay of Blue Protocol instead. And when it comes down to it, there's not a lot to worry about unless you plan on doing damage or playing solo. And considering the fact that any interaction I have with another player was me risking a ban before understanding how this game worked, that's exactly what I had to do. Which means for me, this game is divided up into leveling, fighting supposed enemy insurgents on foreign soil for both my amusement and their body parts, gathering and crafting. So how then do you level up in Blue Protocol? By completing any infinite number of side quests that reward us with money and XP, following the main quest line that rewards us with XP and money, or completing these things called adventure boards, where the devs very graciously didn't bother wasting your time by making this part of the story, main quest line, or feel meaningful and important in any way at all. Oh, but by the way, don't fall for the same white boy trap that I did that the Japanese have set out for you. Do you see this little red banner at the bottom of this board? Well, if you don't see it, then it's not being tracked, and if it's not being tracked, then any progress you do towards that board is not counted. Why can this game not just auto-track each and every single adventure board at the same time? Why are the amounts of side quests arbitrarily limited so I can't just pick up all of them at once and batch complete them? It's to increase the odds of you finding your way into the gambling section of the menu while you're trying to figure out why the fuck this game is trying its best to artificially extend your playtime from a few hours into a few months. At least the visuals and aesthetics of this game are pretty good looking, so when you're running through the Minister Hills for the millionth time, it doesn't feel nearly as bad as it could. And that's another thing to keep in mind, because Because of all these limitations on the quests and the pickups and the adventure boards, Blue Protocol has you running back and forth to the same area multiple times on different quests that want the same things from you. Either you have to kill something or collect something, watch a short cutscene, or read some unvoice acted text before rinse repeating ad infinitum. But what do you collect and how do you kill? Well, let's start with the former. See that shiny light in the distance? That's a gathering node. And in Broken Prostate, there's only two types of shiny thing to gather. Either it's rock and stone or leaves and weeds. There's no gathering skill or leveling system associated with picking shit up off the ground, so you can turn your brain off for a few seconds and just hit the interact key. That is, except for fishing, which has its own little unique special system that feels good for about the first 20 minutes and then feels annoying for the rest of your life. I would say that there's not much depth to the systems in Big Pickup over here, but that implies that there's any depth at all. Technically speaking, there are only two resources to gather. They look exactly the same, and every time you interact with a node, it's another roll of the dice to see if you get what you want or complete trash. By contrast though, the combat has a decent amount of depth to it, and as I mentioned before, your class is tied to your weapon, and your weapon can have 4 active abilities at any given time. This doesn't mean though that you've only got 4 abilities total. You also get an ultimate ability, and as you level up you gain access to more abilities tied to your weapon class that you can swap out depending on how you're feeling. These abilities also continue to improve just as your level does, unlocking new effects and improving on older ones. And there's even some variation on the combo attacks your weapon does depending on what directional key you're pressing. That is, of course, assuming you chose the right weapon and not any of the 3 wrong ones.
Yeah, you heard me right. I don't consider Magic Stick in this game to be a weapon.
But now that we've covered weapons and gathering, we can talk about the crafting systems that only serve to deepen the combat systems and nothing else. Crafting overall relies on grinding out materials you need from the open world and from instance dungeons. All crafting works in the same way. You just need to go to the right crafting bench. Select what you want and craft it with the click of a button, assuming you've spent the appropriate amount of weeks grinding out any materials you need. Not only that, but when crafting any weapon in particular, there's again a biased gambling system involved, and you can modify your chances of getting a better weapon if you just so happen to be holding a ticket that changes the odds of the craft. So you can either bribe the crafting bench to give you what you want with a piece of paper, or play the odds, lose, get mad, and uninstall the game with your fists.
But I'd like you to remember that 99% of all gamblers quit just before they're about to hit it big.
So don't let that be you. Take a loan out on that property you don't own. Get it repossessed because it was never yours in the first place. Keep on that grind, player. By pure statistical volume of chance, you're bound to win something eventually, right? The only crafting that has any form of variation is the weapon enhancements themselves, that work like Path of Exile gems if none of them were ever linked and only gave basic stat variations when filled. These weapon enhancements are called plugs, and for you to insert a plug, your weapon needs to be of an appropriate type and have an open, gaping socket waiting to be filled. If it just so happens that your weapon has no open slots, then don't worry. You can always take her to the local engineer and he'll stretch her out for you, assuming you can pay him for his time. The other parts of crafting involve making consumables, the Pokemon badges that I previously spoke about, and crafting something called Imagines.
The
That's
system
the
will
video,
probably
yeah,
have
that's
an
the
even
video.
dumber name in the Western
I
release.
don't know what
Imagines
this
are
dude just be
basically
throwing troll
summons.
sound
Once
effects
crafted,
in
you
you.
can equip them and
I don't
gain
even
2
know what to
more
say about
abilities
this
to play
video.
around with. These
I
can
actually
range from
don't know what to
simple
say.
buffs to outright damage. There's a ton of these to try out, so find out what works for your playstyle. But if you want the best of the best, then be prepared to burn through your bank account to get the recipe you need, either directly or indirectly through the in-game gambling systems. Are we starting to get the picture of what this game's about yet, Kimosabi? Once you've got all those basics down and memorized, you can now truly experience the joys of the action combat systems, either out in the instanced world or within the instanced world. And I can tell you right now, this is my favorite part of this game. Controls are responsive, abilities feel good to use, and the animation lock on any of your moves isn't overly sluggish or annoying. And if you're an elite pro gamer hacker like me and know how to use the dodge button, You should, in theory, be able to take on any enemy regardless of their health bar. But that's only in theory. The reality of the situation, however, is that the Japanese want revenge for Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and they're getting it by fucking up some of the finer joys of a good action combat system. If an enemy is out of your combat level range, you do reduce damage to them. And by
This is the
reduced, I
unhinged
mean
parts of the
reduced
video.
to zero.
It
And
is
that
all
means
I
you're
gotta
not
say.
ever going to get into that epic boss fight out in the open instanced world just because a regular mob is 10 levels higher than you and you have to rely on your skill. Instead, you can expect to have that boss fight with one of the open world bosses that spawn every now and then. The only problem being that these open world bosses aren't a fight, they're a Zerg fest, since everyone around you is also looking for kill credit. Now, in a previous video, I told you that one of the problems with the Guild Wars 2 combat systems is the overly flashy graphics going on. But if that game was enough to give you epilepsy, this one's gonna give you sunburn through your monitor and a stroke. What the fuck is going on? Am I even hitting the boss? But why are we doing all of this? Why are we here? What is the point of Blue Protocol? Just like any other MMORPG, it is to progress. It is to grow and develop as a person, to mentally evolve from having a hobby into having a problem, and to, of course, reach the end game where the real game begins. Now, most modern MMOs out there despise the fact that they have to work around a leveling system, but Blue Protocol actually does a decent job of taking you on a story-based journey whenever it's not forcing you to grind out collecting 35 goblin foreskins from a dungeon you've already done 25 times for your next weapon upgrade, or an adventure board that's actively limiting your progress for no reason at all. You get to meet new characters along the way, learn a little bit more about the world around you, and even get taken through each and every dungeon, so you already know what you have to do when you have to come back here and sprint your way through these undertuned instances later when you're in a group. Blue Protocol is a weird amalgamation of the worst parts of MMO progression, like the fact that the visual elements of your character have no correlation to the power of your character, or that you're going to be spending a decent portion of your time killing the same mob over and over again at some bottleneck in the game where everyone is doing the exact same as you. And that's all mixed in with some of the best parts of MMO progression, like cutscenes, significant quests, and a story that directly integrates your character into the world around them. There seems to be no middle ground here. It's either very good or very bad. But then what's the end game like? Well, I can't tell you. Not because I don't want to, but because I finally ran into an MMO player's most dangerous and undefeatable boss that the game has to offer. The adventure board tried to make me make friends, which means it is literally impossible for me to progress any further in this game. Who in their right mind plays an MMORPG to make friends and be social? So cutting things short, if you're looking to just know the good and the bad of Blue Protocol, here it is. Starting with the good, Bipolar Proctologist has some of the best and smoothest action combat I've seen in an MMO game to date. Weapon and class choice might be scarce at the time of this review and at the time of Western release, but they do mostly feel good and polished to use. Not only that, but every now and then, you're required to apply some lateral thinking by using environmental factors to your advantage or avoiding direct hazards. The aesthetics and visuals of this game aren't just nice to look at, but also mean the game is going to age better than if they were just chasing after high graphical fidelity and nothing else. The musical score is pretty fantastic, if a little limited in quantity, and the in-game story and lore are well made, directly affect your character, and are interesting to experience, assuming you either install an unofficial English patch or know how to read 2-minute noodles. I would personally recommend that if you're not planning on immigrating to Japan through the use of a VPN, then when this game does release in the West, that you at least try it out since it is free to play. As a bonus, you're more likely to actually have fun running around this world, the less seriously you take the game itself. But now for the bad. At its core, Broke Potato is another gambling-riddled Asian Skinner box MMORPG intended to siphon as much wealth out of the pockets of its players as possible. Even at a simple glance of how their cash systems work, it's very easy to see that you could end up spending well over $1,000 before getting the thing you want. This game also lacks depth, and if you're not here for scantily clad women that don't talk back or decent action combat, then you're not likely to enjoy what this game has to offer. For reference, the crafting and gathering systems of this game are not deep or varied at all, and there's no in-game economy to speak of, no weapon durabilities or nuances, and only minor variations in in weapon builds and playstyles outside of ability swapping. You're not going to find talent trees or specializations anywhere here either. Additionally, combat even in dungeons can be fun and challenging solo, but once you're doing them as a group, it becomes all about zerging down the mobs and bosses faster than they can even get their abilities off to stop you. So overall, based on my experience in Blue Protocol so far, I'd say this game is going to fall into one of two futures. Either it will gather a massive audience of weebs that drops off to next to nothing over its first few months after release because it's something fun and new to play for a little while before you get bored, and you go back to playing some other anime-inspired game with deeper systems attached to it. Or it'll build a long-term niche audience of weebs in the West that keeps it alive enough through the gambling systems that the game can justify its continued existence under the benevolent wing of Amazon for at least a few years, which is hopefully enough time for them to add more weapons and content into the game so it can continue its survival. That is, of course, assuming the Western release doesn't remove all the best features that Bunda Protocol has to offer. The biggest problem that this game is facing, in my always correct opinion, is that it's trying to emulate the slow grind and climb that you'd find in something like Classic WoW, but it's missing all the nuance, novelty, and detailing that you would have gotten out of a game like Classic WoW. And at the end of the day, I, just like you, have been tricked into thinking that this game is an actual MMORPG when it's closer to a third-person ARPG with shared instanced world progression.
So what score do I assign to Blue Protocol? I give it a full please be 18 out of always check for an ID. Now I have no idea how to end this video, so you need to leave now. Not just because a lone shark is trying to repossess my kneecaps after getting absorbed in the gacha system of Blue Protocol, but also because I have a Twitch speedrun ban to plan.
So as always, big thank to all my subscribers, both old and
I have no idea what to say about that video. It was very informative. Dude crossed some rhymes I don't know about crossing. Yeah, but then also what had some really good parts of the video. I don't even know what the freaking say about that video. All right. I'm here. Yeah, I say it because, dude, he actually was really informative. And having that type of take, I take all type of takes. This is data. Yeah, the game seems interesting, especially because a lot of the stuff that makes it bad, I don't know, I bet. But when I played RuneScape, I was like level, like nothing. Everything that was in combat. No joking about it, you know what I mean? Yeah, let me see if I can find some real quick. Wait. This is Dragon Nest, yo. This is Dragon Nest 2023. This was the game that I played before Spellbreak that, honestly, like, when I saw Spellbreak, I was like, it's kind of like Dragon Nest, yeah. Kind of bad example here. I think he's fighting a boss and just spamming his abilities, but there's like lots of crazy movement. He's just using his kick ability because it's really OP with the Tempest. Yeah. Okay. Let me see, like, alright, see, that dude's doing a bunch of DPS. I mean, let me see, like, people are, like, speedrunning, so here, PvP ladder, what's this? Yeah, this game was really, really lit, dude. Like, ahead of its time, and nobody really played it. It was really fun. I played it. Played for a couple months. This was, like, before Overwatch. This was, like... while I was playing League of Legends and stuff, I want to say. This game was really old. But it was really cool, like, it was like third person, like, action shooter. So you could shoot, like, that's the Tempest class. It was like a bow and, kicks and stuff. Yeah, this game was really cool, dude. This game was really cool, yo. It's funny, seeing these combos this person's doing just kind of reminded me of like Naraka, like shoots him on the ground with the bow and stuff. Little staggers and stuff. Hey, this is a pretty good example of the gameplay. This is a really cool game, yeah. No one really plays this game anymore, though. Like, this game is super dead. Like, this dude plays it, I'm telling you right now, this dude probably plays against the same 10 people all the time. Like, the game's super dead. Kinda wanna look up to see if anyone plays it. I'm pretty sure it's, like, super dead. Oh, look. People still play. According to this, there's still 4,000 people that still play the game. It's been increasing. That's really interesting. Why does it have this weird ebb and flow? I guess because of maintenance. What Deso's doing alright. I knew it's always been kind of like just up there. Yo, people still play Terra. That game was really lit. Do you see this game? Look at this. It's crazy. This game was lit. That's crazy. That's crazy. Guild Wars 2 still has these samurai people. $350,000 people play Guild Wars 2. Free. Where's it at on Twitch? Why do I feel like nobody... Do people watch that game? Me just looking up stuff everywhere. I'm just not playing no Lost Ark. I don't like it was over the top, yeah. love Blue Protocol. It's on Twitch because it's in Japan, but not a lot of people playing it on Twitch. Kind of interesting. See, on Steam, it doesn't have a lot of people. I'm wondering if, like, all those players are through the client itself. Nobody's streaming it. Yeah, this was a good game, yeah. Do people play Terra? Like, what's up with Terra? Ah, single person streams this game. This was a cool game. Yeah. My friend was super into that game, Albion Online. That game was funny. Twitch is like not working. I don't know what's up with that. Yeah, they have random games that like are MMO but not MMO. You know what I mean? That's funny that Dragon Nest was Dragon Nest, yeah. Might be playing Black Desert, but I can't. I don't really feel like playing anything else. I'm still locked out of my Final Fantasy account. I can't even get into my Final Fantasy account. Yeah, I'm in my email like trying to get in there now, dude. Can't even get in it. It's just so many freaking things just to get my account back. Yeah, I don't know, yo. Why is it this complicated? Yeah, I have no freaking ID. No idea. Literally no clue. Like, forgot my password. Like, off the rip. Forgot my password. Like, it's telling me my password's wrong. Even though it probably was right and it's just glitched out. Or I'm missing like a little letter. New password. Oh my gosh, I can't change my password because I don't have the one-time password. What the hell do I do? I'm just locked out of this account. Like, I don't even freaking know. Yeah, I'm just gonna deem it I'm locked out, dude. Like, they don't want my money. That's how I look at it. I'm like, dude, I can't reset my password because I don't have the one-time password. I can't get my one-time password turned off because I don't have my password. How the hell do I get in my account? Yeah, I'm just locked out of it, dude. Like, I don't even know. I'm literally just locked out of it. Well, I'm pretty GG'd, everybody. We were playing a new beta, the First Descendant, but it didn't work. Just make my computer crash. We were playing Black Desert, then they went down for maintenance, and I just looked up a bunch of games to try to play, and I don't feel like playing any of them. I'm joking, but like that's where I'm at. It's pretty late, so I'm probably gonna get off. Decent night. I'll try Beyond tomorrow. Tokyo Game Show things tomorrow. I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing. Definitely a chill night tonight, everybody. I'll try to find some more games for us to play when we run into situations like this. I just kind of figured we would just hop on Black Desert and just chill on that afterwards. I didn't realize they were gonna go down for maintenance tonight. We still haven't fully reinstalled everything. Like, I don't have pretty much anything installed, honestly. I have like 5 games, I feel like. Um, Yeah, I'm sleepy, everybody. I'm sleepy. I'm sorry. I'm getting sleepy. We're getting sleepy. Go watch the YouTube, everybody. There's a bunch of new videos. Go do that. I got a bunch of new videos. These videos are doing decent. I'm a little sleep, everybody. I'm a little sleepy. Good night, everybody. I'm going to sleep. I just have like no energy. I wish I could give you all more energy, but it's 5:30 in the morning. It's 5:30 in the morning. I gotta work on some stuff, everybody. I'll see you later. They're Vow Breakers, Oath Keepers, Ninjas, whatever the heck. I'm too lazy to raid. I'm sleepy. I'll see y'all later. I will be on tomorrow at a decent time.
Welcome to the next generation. Sorry dad, get your own show cause you ain't home. Go evade and sing my Sengon till he face palm. I'm the baddest ninja if you ask Sasuke son. Welcome to the next generation. Sorry Kagemasa, we the heroes with no capes on. Team 7 going in.